From a town where people literally live underground, to a place so remote it takes 8 hours of outback highway just to reach the nearest city, some corners of Australia have not changed in over 60 years. These are 10 Australian towns that still feel like they are stuck in the 1960s. Number 10. Silverton, New South Wales. About 25 kilometres west of Broken Hill, the tiny settlement of Silverton sits in the middle of some of the harshest red desert landscape in the country. The population hovers around 50 people, sometimes fewer. Back in the 1880s, Silverton was a booming silver mining town, with a population of over 3,000. Hotels, churches, a school, a police station, all were built to serve a thriving community. But when the mines dried up, everyone packed up and left, and the town just sort of froze. Today, the dusty red dirt main street of Silverton looks almost exactly as it did decades ago. The old Silverton Hotel still stands, its corrugated iron walls baking in the sun. There is an art gallery, a few stone ruins, and not much else. You have probably seen it without realizing. Silverton has been used as a filming location for Mad Max and dozens of other movies, because it looks like the end of the world. In many ways, it is. Number 9. Chilton, Victoria. Tucked between Wangaratta and Wodonga in northeast Victoria, Chilton is one of the best preserved gold rush towns in the state. The main street still has original Victorian-era shop fronts, with their cast-iron lacework verandas and timber facades. Walking down Conness Street feels like stepping into a photograph from another era. The old post office, the chemist, the general store, they have all been preserved rather than demolished and rebuilt. The town grew during the 1850s gold rush and peaked at around 5,000 residents. Today, the population sits at roughly 1,200. What makes Chilton feel so timeless is not just the buildings. It is the pace. No chain stores, no modern development pushing through. The Star Hotel and the Lakeview House still stand as reminders of a period the rest of Victoria left behind. Number 8. Ravenswood, Queensland. In North Queensland, about 130 kilometres south of Townsville, the old gold mining town of Ravenswood hangs on, with a population under 200. Gold was discovered here in 1868, and by the 1870s, the town had thousands of residents. Banks, pubs, a courthouse, all the hallmarks of a prosperous settlement. But when the gold ran thin, so did the population. What is left today is a remarkable collection of heritage buildings scattered along wide, quiet streets. The old Imperial Hotel still operates. The brick and stone buildings along Macrossan Street have not been touched. Even the old railway station sits there, long since abandoned. Ravenswood is not trying to be a tourist attraction. It is simply a town that never had a reason to modernize. And that is exactly what makes it feel like a genuine step back in time. Number 7. Burra, South Australia. About 160 kilometres north of Adelaide, Burra was once one of the largest copper mining towns in Australia. In the 1840s and the 1850s, it was an economic powerhouse. Miners and their families lived in dugout homes carved into the banks of Burra Creek, because there simply weren't enough houses. Some of those dugout homes are still there. You can walk along the creek and see the entrances. The town's heritage precinct is massive, covering dozens of original stone buildings, miners' cottages, and the ruins of the old Monster Mine engine house. What gives Burra its time warp feeling is the sheer completeness of the preservation. The main street of Market Square still has its original stone facades. The Redruth Gale, the Bonaccord Mine Complex, even the old Powder Magazine. Everything is intact. The town has simply chosen to keep what it has, rather than chase what's new. Number 6. CUE, Western Australia. Deep in the Midwest region of Western Australia, about 650 kilometres northeast of Perth, the town of Kew sits in the middle of Red Desert, with fewer than 300 residents. What is remarkable about Kew is the architecture. During the 1890s gold rush, the The town had a population of over 10,000. They built grand stone buildings, wide streets, and public infrastructure to match a city many times its current size. When the gold disappeared, so did the people. But the buildings stayed. Walking through Kew today feels strange. These enormous heritage buildings, the old town hall, the gentleman's club, the grand hotel facades, they all tower over empty streets. It is like an entire city shrank, but left the bones behind. The corrugated iron roofs, the stone walls baking in 40-degree heat, the absolute silence. Kew does not just feel stuck in the 60s. In some spots it feels stuck in the 1890s. Number 5. Coober Pedy, South Australia. About 840 kilometres north of Adelaide, in the heart of the South Australian outback, Coober Pedy is unlike anywhere else on Earth. This is a town where people live underground. Opal was discovered here in 1915, and miners quickly realised that the desert heat, regularly above 45 degrees, made surface living unbearable. So they carved homes, churches, and even hotels into the sandstone beneath the surface. They called them dugouts, and people still live in them today. The town has a population of around 1,700, and the landscape above ground looks like the surface of Mars. Massive mining shafts dot the red earth in every direction. Warning signs tell you not to walk backwards because of unmarked holes. The main street has a general store, a couple of pubs, and Opal shops that have not changed their displays in decades. Underground, the homes are surprisingly comfortable, naturally cool in summer, warm in winter. Some have been expanded into elaborate multi-room residences. But the aesthetic is pure 1960s. The furniture, the decor, the fittings, it is as if someone carved a home in 1965 and nobody saw any reason to update it since. If you are enjoying this trip through Australia's most time-frozen towns, hit subscribe. We cover the most fascinating corners of this country every single week. Number 4. Lightning Ridge in New South Wales. About 770 kilometres northwest of Sydney, Lightning Ridge is the black opal capital of Australia, and it might also be the most eccentric town in the country. The population is officially around 2,000, but nobody really knows for sure. Plenty of miners live off the grid, scattered across the opal fields in makeshift camps and corrugated iron shacks. Some have been out there for decades, digging shafts by hand, living exactly the way miners did in the 1960s. The town itself is a wonderland of handmade attractions. There is a house made entirely of bottles, a castle built from car parts, and an outdoor gallery of sculptures welded together from scrap metal. None of it is polished or commercialized. It's all the work of locals who had time, materials, and imagination. The bore baths, fed by natural artesian hot springs, are still free and open around the clock. The bowling club looks exactly as it did 50 years ago. Even the way people talk about Lightning Ridge feels different. It's a place people came to escape the modern world, and they've done a brilliant job of keeping it out. Number 3. Tennant Creek, Northern Territory. Sitting roughly 500 kilometres north of Alice Springs along the Stuart Highway, Tennant Creek is one of the last true gold rush towns in Australia. Gold was discovered here in the 1930s, and the rush that followed shaped a town that, in many ways, has not evolved much since. The population today is around 3,000, and the town still revolves around mining and pastoral life. The main drag of Patterson Street has the classic outback layout, a pub, a general store, a service station, wide dusty roads, and not much else. The old Battery Hill Mining Centre preserves the gold stamping equipment from the original rush era. Telegraph station ruins sit on the edge of town, dating back to the 1870s overland telegraph line. And the landscape surrounding Tennant Creek, the Devil's Marbles, the red desert stretching endlessly in every direction, has not changed in millions of years, let alone 60. Number 2. Tibooburra, New South Wales. In the far northwest corner of New South Wales, Tibooburra is one of the most isolated towns in the state. The nearest major centre is Broken Hill, roughly 330 kilometres to the south, and for much of the year, depending on road conditions, Even that drive can be impossible. The population is somewhere under 100. 2 pubs, a general store, a police station. That is about it. The buildings are made of local stone, built during the gold rush of the 1880s, and patched up just enough to stay standing. The family hotel and the Tibooburra Hotel both have walls covered in artwork painted directly onto the surfaces by travelling artists over the decades. Out here, there is no mobile reception in most directions, no traffic lights, no fast food. The Sturt National Park surrounds the town, and the landscape of red gibber plains and granite outcrops looks exactly as it did when explorer Charles Sturt passed through in the 1840s. Tibooburra does not just feel stuck in the 60s, it feels like it never left the frontier. Number 1. Broken Hill, New South Wales. Broken Hill is the big one. Not a tiny settlement clinging to survival, but an actual city of around 17,000 people that somehow feels decades behind the rest of the country. Located in the far west of New South Wales, closer to Adelaide than Sydney, Broken Hill has always existed on its own terms. The city was built on the world's richest deposit of lead, zinc, and silver, discovered in 1883. Mining shaped everything, from the wide streets designed for horse-drawn ore wagons to the union-built pubs that still line Argent Street. What makes Broken Hill feel frozen in time is the combination of isolation and self-sufficiency. The city runs on South Australian time, not New South Wales time. It has its own water pipeline stretching hundreds of kilometres from the Murray-Darling system. The architecture along the main street is largely unchanged. Art Deco facades, heritage pubs, and the Palace Hotel, made famous by the film Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. The surrounding landscape of red desert, scrubby mulga trees, and the sculpture symposium on the hilltop overlooking the city creates a setting that could be from any decade in the last century. Artists have been coming to Broken Hill since the 1960s, specifically because the colours and the isolation have not been touched by development. Broken Hill is not pretending to be vintage. It just is. And that's the thing about all 10 of these towns. None of them are trying to be nostalgic. They are not heritage theme parks or retro tourist attractions. They are real communities where the modern world simply never arrived, or arrived and decided not to stay. If you want to see more of Australia's most fascinating forgotten places, click the video on screen now. We'll see you in the next one.